The symbolic architecture of the New Testament is built around categories. Gender, male and female, social system, master and slave, and religious identity, Jew and Gentile. In our time, these categories are under review and reconstruction, and they're contested. Male and female is contested and constructed. Master-slave and all the metaphors around it are being radically questioned as foundational metaphors for Christianity. And Jew and Gentile is often equated in our time with Jew and Christian, which is completely anachronistic and wrong. And so all these things are very problematic. And our text this morning from Luke 7, 1 to 10 has all these categories operating in it. You have a wealthy, powerful Gentile male who's advocating to Jesus for his slave, whom he honors highly, who's very valuable to him, and he supplicates Jesus on the basis of their similarities as people with authority that can boss other people around, make their slave do what they want and make their soldier go and come, etc. On the surface of the story, this healing of the Gentile son is about God's healing power through Jesus that extends to all Gentiles. But in the ironies of Luke's gospel are so many. I mean, Jesus doesn't question the honor and shame hierarchy in the passage, doesn't disrupt it, doesn't dispute the hierarchy built into it, doesn't free the slave, and the slave in the story doesn't even have any agency or voice, or we don't know anything about him. So that's our situation with this story. It makes me want to consider a theme in the story, which is the theme of worthiness or worth. Worthiness or worth. It's mentioned several times. The slave's worth a lot to him. I am not worthy to come under your roof. And it makes me think about this whole concept of worthiness and worth, and how damaging this sense of unworthiness is in human life. Either when it's imposed on someone because of their status as enslaved or female or Gentile or you name it, and when it is internalized by that person to have this sense of unworthiness and inadequacy and fundamental flawedness. I think about this sense of worthiness, and I consider the prayer of humble access in our prayer. Now, not everybody is always constantly thinking of the prayer of humble access, but I think of it, and some of you may remember it from the Book of Common Prayer. We are not worthy so much as to gather up the crumbs under thy table, but thou art the same Lord whose property is always to have mercy. Remember? You say it before communion, and it's based on two stories in the New Testament. One is this one, I'm not worthy to come under your roof. And the other one it's based on, the crumbs under the table part, is the story of the Syrophoenician woman in Luke 7. Which again, that story in Luke has very interesting categories too. That is gender, that has religious identity, and it also has a different spin on worthiness. Okay, so we're in the prayer of humble access. We're praying we're unworthy to gather up the crumbs under thy table. And we're thinking about this story in Luke, and we're thinking about the story in Mark 7 of the Syrophoenician woman, who actually in her interaction with Jesus, which you may remember from 2 weeks ago, it's in the lectionary, actually is claiming her own worthiness. When she fights with Jesus and she quips with him, she's saying, you're not going to deny food to the children, but even the dogs eat the crumbs under the children's table. She's actually claiming worthiness. So, isn't it interesting that a story in Luke, a male volunteers his unworthiness, and in the story in Mark, a female denies and resists her unworthiness and claims her worth. So, what are we going to do with this? It's a lot for a short Monday morning homily. However, think about this. We can either go back and say, what did Jesus really think? What did Jesus really want? Is Jesus more like the Markan story of Jesus, more radical? Or is Jesus more of the Luke consolidating? I forgot to say, actually, that Luke, in his treatment of Gentiles and women and slaves, you might get the suspicion, based on Luke's stories, that he's actually trying to reassure his Gentile wealthy readers that the Jesus of the Magnificat is not going to blow their society to smithereens. Okay? All right, so you get those choices. So are you going to go back and say, what did Jesus really think? What did Jesus really want? Or are you going to go forward and say, what does our Christian tradition say about worthiness and unworthiness, and what did the Father say, and what did so-and-so say? Well, you can do either one. Or you can read these scriptures with a sense of compassion and resistance to some of the categories that they are using. For example, this centurion slave is worthy to be healed whether or not he is worth anything to his master. He is worthy of being healed on his own. And that health that he has on the basis of Jesus' healing, he will use as an agent and as a person in relationship to God. And that woman who advocates for her own worth and her daughter's worth and receives commendation from Jesus for that claim is claiming her own worthiness before God. Human beings were made in the image of God, and that makes us worthy. Bottom line, whatever category, the Jew and Gentile, slave and free, male and female ones, or whatever categories we're put on. Worthy because of being created. Worthy to have had Jesus die for us. And today we're going to use in the service the Eucharistic Prayer B, which has that very powerful line, we are worthy, you made us worthy to stand before you. So in reading these categories in the New Testament and thinking about worth, I pray that we will own a sense of our own worth, will be bold and courageous to claim our worth, to claim the worth of others, and to deny and resist when worthlessness is imposed on any category or kind